Thank you. Confirmation of the agenda. We do have an addition, and I'll let Ashley tell you about that.
Thanks, Mayor Rigetts. Under item number 6.3, delegations, Kevin Brown and David Carroll have registered from the Gadshill Sportsman Club to speak in regards to item number 9.1.
Okay. So we have a motion that the agenda as prepared for the July 9th, 2024 meeting of council of the Township of Perth East be received as amended, approved as amended. Moved by Bob, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, if you have pecuniary interest, you can disclose that now as our meeting goes along. We have 14 items under our consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like pulled, or they have questions on it? Seeing nothing, then we do have a motion that says that items 5.1.1 to 5.1.14 as set out on the consent agenda for the July 9, 2024 regular meeting of council be received for information. Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, under public presentations, we have 3 tonight. Our first one is going to be from Meredith Frechette, the Manager of Economic Development and Tourism, and we have Ricky with us as well. So welcome to Perth East. Great to see you. And the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you for having us. So good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Meredith Frechette, and I am the Manager of Economic Development and Tourism for the County of Perth. And with me tonight, I have Ricky Zhao. He is our Destination Marketing Summer student. If I can get next slide. We do have a few new faces on our team. Maggie Kerr has started her maternity leave, and Justin Diaz has shifted into our transportation role, and Helen Galobe is doing our contract economic development officer for Justin as he is taking over Maggie's maternity leave. Ashley Lansing has left us, and she's working for Explore Waterloo. So we have hired Clara Lini, and she is now our new tourism officer. She's on holidays this week, so she will be making her rounds if you haven't already met her. And we have Olivia Jackson. She's our new tourism summer student, and Ricky Zhao is our destination development summer student. You also might remember him. He ran our digital service squad for the last few years. So Ricky innocently applied for a student job 3 years ago, and we've just have kept him on while he's a full-time student, moving him around from contract to contract. So we are very pleased that he has stayed on with us in this new role. Next slide. So our team has been really busy. I do apologize, the staff report was written for County Council, and just because of the timing of council presentations, this is a touch dated because it was presented to County Council over a month ago. But we have been busy with our business retention and expansion program. We've had several initiatives. One of the initiatives is our business tours and our business features. On April 30th, we toured Woodcock Brothers. Woodcock Brothers recently celebrated 40 years in business right here in Perth County. We also had a business tour at D&S Downham on June 14th, and we have one coming up at Between the Lines and Listowel on July 18th. We've also been busy working with the Stratford Perth Center for Business. I understand that Holly has already been here and done her presentation, so we've partnered on the Food Printer program, which has been very successful. We had a summer company launch last week, so lots of great representation from across the county of new student businesses that have worked with the Small Business Enterprise Center to receive that funding. We had a very busy Business After 5 at Harry 10 Shilling with over 30 attendees, and unfortunately we did have to cancel the BA After 5 that was scheduled for the 18th of June at Zaire. So we will try and rebook that. Just the attendance was low. It's a busy time of year with school wrapping up and whatnot. Next slide. So people and workforce development. We continue to promote our workforce attraction and retention toolkit to employers. On March 27th, we attended a job fair in Kitchener-Waterloo. Over 300 job seekers were in attendance looking for full-time employment. And so we took that opportunity to promote all of the available positions all of our business had across the county, in addition to promoting the PC Connect bus service as a reliable and safe form of transportation to get to and from work. We hosted an employer and educator roundtable. We had 51 businesses and educators participate to discuss opportunities, how we can work together in an effort to address youth retention, apprenticeships, and the needs of our employers in hopes that this will help guide career paths in the future. On June 11th, we partnered with our commodity groups for the iFarm Community Barbecue. We had over 800 attendees that evening, and we handed out 150 Perth County Future Farmer shirts to our youth in hopes that this would engage the conversation and promote all the many different careers in agriculture. Next slide. So the 2024 Perth County Tourism Brochure is live in May, and I left a copy on everyone's seats. We have distributed over 34,000 copies of the tourism brochure to local residents in surrounding areas. We've also delivered brochures and continue to restock brochures at 150 different hotspots, again, in the county and surrounding areas, as well as the Ontario Travel Information Centers. Also happy to report that we've had influx and participation in our Discover More Flavor program, and that's our farm gate map. So we will be updating and printing new program guides in the fall, so it's very exciting. Our newest signature experience opened its doors to the public on May 18th, and it's our very first winery in the region, and I'm happy to report that it is in Perth East. So if you haven't had the opportunity to check out Perth Farm Winery, please add that to your bucket list. It is a must experience. It's amazing. Next slide. So Mobility 2.0, it's our PC Connect program. So we had a free ride pass program that was launched at the beginning of April, and we handed out 16,000 information brochures to introduce residents and reintroduce residents to the PC Connect bus service, promoting that it is a safe and efficient way to travel throughout the region. We partnered with Wellington County at the Good Roads Association conference and met with the Minister of Transportation to discuss continued funding. As you are all aware, PC Connect the CT Community Transit Program is only funding the bus service until March 31st, 2025. So we've been very busy advocating for continued support from the MTO to keep the wheels on the road. So we were at Roma, we had a delegation at Roma, and a joint delegation with Wellington County at Good Roads. And we continue to use our members of Matthew Ray, our MPP, and John Nader, our MP, to advocate for us, both at the federal and provincial level, for continued support. The People of PC Connect marketing campaign has reached over 30,000 views and has over 750 click link throughs. So that's people looking for more information, seeing the video, seeing our programming, and then looking for bus schedules and fare rates and whatnot. So I don't know if you guys, like, it's a 4-minute video if you wanted to play it, if there's some sound. Or we could just skip over it.
PC Connect isn't just a bus line. It's my path to education, my ride to success.
With PC Connect, I'm always on time for my clients, ready to inspire and motivate.
Life has a way of surprising you. I used to drive, but now I'm grateful for PC Connect.
PC Connect.
PC Connect.
PC Connect.
PC Connect. PC Connect. My path to education.
To be independent.
Thanks to PC Connect, I can make every day count.
My key to health and the things that matter.
The bus that gets me where I need to go.
So that was the finale of a 5-part series that we ran over the course of the winter. So that was Maggie Kerr's campaign, so we can't take credit for that, but really proud of that campaign. And every month we have seen an increase in ridership. So I know it has April 678, but we saw 767 riders in the month of May. So we continue to see increases in our ridership as the wheels keep moving on our road for our rural route. And then my last slide is just want to thank you for your time today. You know, we are here for you, our businesses, our councils throughout all of Perth County. Please reach out if you need anything, or send businesses that require anything, any support from us. We if we can't help, we will find someone who can help. So I just want to thank you again for your time tonight. We've been busy creating memorable experiences through our Discover More Adventure program, fostering community pride through many different activities that we participate in, like the iFarm event, and building brighter futures for our residents, businesses, and visitors right here in Perth County. We're pretty proud of what we do. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any today.
Okay, questions, Amanda?
Hi, Meredith. Just a question. We had a presentation not too long ago, maybe it was a little while ago, but it was specifically on PC Connect. And there was a question around, because we've lost our GO Train and Via Rail through Stratford, and there was a discussion about looking at options for PC Connect to be able to take people to Kitchener to catch that train. Do we have like an update or any developments on,
So the
on that?
sorry, through you, Mayor, to Amanda. So the PC Connect service actually runs from Stratford to Kitchener, as well as Listowel Kitchener. So those two lines run, and then our rural route feeds those lines. So I actually have taken the bus and rode to get to the GO Train in Kitchener to get to Toronto for meetings. So it does work, and everyone must ride the bus because it is a great experience in rural to have this type of service operate. So I challenge all of you to ride the bus this summer and experience how it is an efficient and effective way to travel across the county.
Okay, other questions, Hugh?
Good to see you. When you put out the brochures and stuff like that, do you have places that are better? Like, do you find that there are some places that you put brochures have a far higher return on your investment, shall we say, than other places?
Absolutely. So we really we track our distribution, and we really gauge how many brochures we actually leave with that business, if they are a hotspot, based on their traffic and previous years' tracking of how many brochures. Like, for example, Animes, we have to make sure that we make our rounds there every single week to ensure that they have brochures on their rack, because it's the large number of traffic flow going through Animes deteriorates our brochures quite quickly.
Okay, other questions? If not, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receives a presentation from Meredith Forget, Manager of Economic Development and Tourism, and Ricky Zao, Destination Development Summer Student, County of Perth, Economic Development, Tourism and Transportation Update, July 2024, for information. Moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Meredith and Ricky. Good to see you both. Enjoy the rest of your night. Okay, now we're going to move to our next presentation, and we have Cheryl Hunt with us and Paul Rolston from the Stratford General Hospital. So welcome to Perth East. Good to see us, and the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor and councillors of Perth East, for giving us the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Stratford General Hospital Foundation this evening. My name is Cheryl Hunt. I'm the Executive Director for the Stratford General Hospital Foundation, and also am a born and raised Milverton girl. Well, born at Stratford General Hospital, but however, raised here in Milverton. So it's nice to be here. I feel like I'm back on home turf, and it's nice to see so many familiar faces. Paul Rolston is with me here tonight as well. He is our campaign co-chair for our In Our Hands capital campaign, as well as a board member. So next slide, please. I'm going to start off just by highlighting a few of the accomplishments or high notes about the hospital in particular first. A few things we like to celebrate is first that we are accredited with exemplary standing as a proud member of the Huron, Perth and Area Ontario Healthcare Team. So a little bit about that. That's a new initiative, and we are the first OHT to go through an accreditation as an entire team. The OHT is the Ontario Health Team. It's It's a service delivery model designed to integrate care delivery and funding, which enables patients, families, community providers, and system leaders to work better together. And the goal is to provide more connected care across our province. So the next point I want to highlight is just that the Stratford General Hospital, that we are an acute and continuing care hospital, and is the regional referral center for Huron and Perth County residents. We offer a broad range of medical and surgical inpatient services, including critical care, special care nursery, supported by internists, pediatricians, and surgical specialists. The Stratford Hospital also provides mental health, maternal child, complex continuing care, and rehabilitation for inpatient programs. The next point I'd like to highlight too, is that the Stratford General Hospital is the integrated stroke unit. So we are the stroke center for Huron and Perth County residents. So anybody within our Huron or Perth County, if they have symptoms of stroke, emergency EMS system is bringing them directly to our Stratford site to receive the care. The next thing we'd like to highlight is just that not a lot of people maybe realize this, but the Stratford General Hospital is a training hospital. So we are a training site, and we're partnered with an abundance of educational institutions. One is the medicine and dentistry at the Western University. So we do have teaching opportunities for doctors. Another area that we are very proud of is that we do have high school co-op programs. We partner with 5 different high schools, 2 of which are big components are the Stratford Secondary School as well as St. Mike's High School. So those high school students get a really in-depth snapshot of the amazing world of healthcare. And then we also have great relationships with Conestoga College, Fanshawe College, Georgia College, McMaster University, Trent University, and so on. There's an abundance. And we accept close to 30 consolidating nursing students and 10 interdisciplinary consolidating students, per semester. This past fiscal year, the Stratford General Hospital accepted 138 consolidating students, and they actually successfully retained 49 of those students as employees. So it's pretty amazing. Next slide. So this slide here is a bit of a snapshot for our last fiscal year, 2023-24, highlighting the busyness of our hospital. I won't go through each point because I know that you had this in your package, but you can definitely see the busyness of the hospital. Looking at our emergency department, for example, 34,763 patients were seen through our emergency department. Looking at our imaging department, we know that's a busy spot at the hospital, so 81,013 imaging exams were performed this past year. And then our lab, so we always call them our unsung heroes. They're the team that's behind the scenes, a lot of people don't necessarily see. And their numbers are rather large for how supportive they are of our patients. So 804,370 lab tests were performed this past year. So very busy. Next slide, please. So this is just a quick highlight to give you a snapshot of providing service to our Perth East residents. So this pie graph will show you that in our inpatient care area, so the inpatient care is the areas where people are admitted into hospital and have to stay for a length of time to get better. So here we can see that Perth East residents were 9% of our care provided this past fiscal year. Next slide, please. Our emergency care received at Stratford General Hospital. Here we can see that our Perth East residents were 8% of the care provided through our emergency department. Next slide, please. So this slide here is supporting our outpatient surgical services. So these are folks that are coming in for a day surgery and then going back home. So this slide is showing us that Perth East residents, we had 8%, again, from Perth East, but it results in 408 surgeries were provided to Perth East residents this past fiscal year. Next slide. So our cancer care, this is again highlighting patients' visits at our Stratford site. So we can see here in Perth East, 7% of our visits were from Perth East residents or to our cancer care. So when we look at that, that was 90 patients, or 90 patient visits, I should say, in this past year, which resulted in really 12 patients from Perth East who received care in our cancer care. Next slide, please. This is interesting. So this is our maternal, child, and pediatric slide. So we can see obstetrics are babies born, and pediatrics are children cared for. So here in Perth East, we can see we had 11% of our babies born were from Perth East. So that is, sorry, my slide's really small, 70 new babies from Perth East were born at the Stratford General Hospital. When we're looking at the children cared for, this is children up to age 14. So 18%, sorry, 16%, my eyes, 16% of the children cared for at the Stratford General Hospital were patients from Perth East. Next slide.
Yes, ma'am.
This is where I pass the mic.
Thank you, Cheryl, for your presentation on the excellent level of care that we all benefit from at Stratford General, and thank you to Mayor Eggetts for having us here this evening. I'm going to ask if we could watch this brief video. It's a video that I think perfectly outlines the need for the capital campaign that we're currently in at Stratford General. So if you could please start the video. Thank you. Next. Not sure if it'll advance. There we go. So that just indicates the need for contributions from the communities that we serve to support the acquisition of medical equipment for the hospital. Every piece of patient care equipment at our hospital is there because donors have cared. So looking forward to the future, our future is in your hands. We rely on the generosity of our community members to help keep the latest tools and technologies in the hands of our healthcare professionals. When it comes to projects like building our new cancer and medical care clinic with co-located pharmacy, only a small percentage of that money required is actually funded by the provincial government. The rest is funded through the generosity of our donors. So we do rely on our community members to support our hospital. Next slide, please. So this outlines our campaign. The campaign goal in total is 30 million. You can see how it breaks down there. 15 million is dedicated to the new cancer care and medical clinic and co-locating the pharmacy department. 8.5 million is allocated towards new and replacement medical equipment. 4 million dedicated to lab improvements. And then across the bottom, we have $1 million for mental health. We have $1 million for staff education and training, and $500,000 for redevelopment of communication stations in the patient care areas. So our campaign did launch 2 years ago in 2022. Our current campaign is a first in that it reaches all corners of the hospital and is not specific to any one department or any one piece of equipment. When I first learned of the project, to me, I believe that this project, when it's fully implemented, will improve the experience of every patient that comes to Stratford General, regardless of which department you're seen in. Next slide, please. So over the past 5 years, this reflects the support we've received from individuals in Perth East. Since June of 2025, we've had 783 donations from Perth East residents, totaling $602,727. And we're very grateful for that level of support from the residents of Perth East. However, there are members of the community which are not in a position to financially support the hospital. And all residents really need access to high quality care. And that's what the foundation is all about, is providing the highest level of care as close to home as we can. We want to avoid that trip to London or Kitchener or Hamilton if possible. And we feel we're moving in the right direction in that regard. So next slide, if you would. So thank you again for your past support. In 2006, our Heart and Soul campaign, the Township of Perth East supported that $20 million project with a pledge of $625,000. So today we respectfully ask for a similar contribution of at least $625,000 towards our current campaign. And thank you again for the time here this evening. If there's any questions, Cheryl and I would be happy to answer them for you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from members of council? Jerry?
Yeah, thanks a lot both for coming. I did tour the facility there a month or two ago with the mayor and deputy mayor. It's going to be a pretty exciting project. The second last slide there, you had the Perth East donations. You only show since 2019, June. Do we have those records from before that we could see at some point from back in the 2006 when we did the 600 as well? I don't have to give them right now, but if you can share them with staff at some point, I'm just curious.
Yeah, we can make sure that we pull that information.
Okay, other questions? Amanda?
Thank you for the excellent presentation. I actually had a family member recently spent a great deal of time in Stratford, is thankfully back home and doing well. So just curious for context, so this presentation is being presented to all the lower tier municipalities and the county, is that correct? Okay. Just for context, 'cause I know earlier, like the very impactful video showed that like the province and the federal government do not invest in equipment, but we are asking municipalities to fund it. So just for context, because like I think it's just helpful to know what the asks are, because there's only one taxpayer from our perspective. So it's just good to know the context, but it was a very good presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Bob?
So in 2006, I believe it was a stipulation that the local municipalities raise $20 million and the provincial government would refund the remainder, which I don't know if it was 40 or $60 million at the time, correct? So is there any matching funds in this case? Because at 2006, our member of provincial parliament was adamant that If there was no participation locally, there was no participation provincially. And then, as Amanda alluded to, you'll be making these same presentations, or maybe you have at all 7 municipal councils? And maybe where are you at? Are we first, last?
So you are actually second. The City of Stratford has already pledged and committed. Perth East is our second presentation, but we will be approaching all Perth County tiers, including the County of Perth.
My understanding in 2006, there was a higher level of provincial government involvement because it actually involved construction of a building. The new north wing for the hospital was built at that time, and that, I believe, was pretty much entirely funded by provincial money.
And so that's the difference in between this campaign and the Heart and Soul campaign. The Heart and Soul included building redevelopment, and this is equipment, right? With some renovations, such as the chemotherapy project and pharmacy project.
Okay, any more questions? Nope. Okay, we do have a motion. I'll read it and we'll see where it goes. It's Council of Township of Perth East received the presentation from Cheryl Hunt, Executive Director, Stratford General Hospital Foundation, and Paul Rolston, In Our Hands Capital Campaign Co-Chair, In Our Hands Capital Campaign Municipal Ask for Information. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. Jerry?
If we're just receiving it for information, should we not forward it on to our budget committee at some point to look at? So maybe we can.
We can, if you wish for an amendment, we can amend it to that it goes to budget committee.
I wish to do that, please. That is an amendment.
Pardon? Was the mover and a seconder okay with that? If we move or send it to the budget? Mover, are you okay with that? Okay, so we'll just add that it goes to the budget committee. Okay, so we have moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. All in favor? Okay. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. Enjoy the rest of your night. Okay, now our third presentation is from Paul Cooper. He's a Perth East resident, and it's on the proposed amendments to the noise bylaw. So welcome to Perth East. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Next slide. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Cooper. I live at 3975 Road 111 in Stratford. I'm 2 doors down from Ben Metal and Steel. Next slide. Our experience is that we've been disturbed by metal crashing and what sounds like explosions followed by vibrations. The noise pounds us for hours at a time. Here's a sound clip dated June 18th, 2024 at 7:26 p.m. Next slide. Next slide. We are here requesting a review of the Perth East noise bylaws as they pertain to industrial zones near residential areas. Next slide. Reducing operating hours. Next slide. Stop noise disturbances outside of permitted hours. Next slide. Since the property changed ownership to BenMet, operating hours have extended. Additional machinery added, and a significant surge in business activity with a larger volume of scrap metal. This has resulted in insistent vibrations, which feel like earthquakes when you're in your house with the windows closed.
Opening windows is horrific. Next slide. The current bylaw 532008 outlines that we have the right to an environment free from unusual, unnecessary, or excessive vibration, sound, or noise, which may degrade the quality and tranquility of life or cause a nuisance. Next slide. When working with the Ministry of Environment in 2021, the chief building official advised us that the permitted hours of operation is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for compaction of refuse and waste sites. Next slide. Our specific concern is that Ben Mint has been starting before 7 a.m. and after 7 p.m. is just devastating for us. Next slide. This continues on Saturday. The only day of quiet we get is Sunday. Next slide. The upcoming residential subdivision will increase the number of residential properties in the area, which will no doubt contribute to a surge in noise complaints, further restraining community relations and law enforcement resources. Next slide. The proposed amendments are intended to strike a balance between the operation needs of industrial businesses and the rights of residents to enjoy their homes and neighborhoods in peace. Next slide. Number 1, reducing permitted hours of operation 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, providing residents with at least 1 additional hour of quiet during the morning and 2 extra in the evening. Next slide. Number 2, operations on Saturday should be limited to 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Next slide. Number 3, increase the monitoring to ensure compliance and address repeat offenders with strict penalties. Next slide. So, Friday night, long weekend, after 7. We're trying to enjoy our back deck. But Ben Mint Steel Recycling, they're still going at it. Like, come on, don't they have any respect for their neighbors? There's mostly residential here. It's ridiculous and totally unacceptable. The laws need to be changed, the noise bylaw for this kind of work. This is what we have to deal with. Listen to that. It's awful. Totally ridiculous. We can't enjoy our house. We can't enjoy our outside. We can't even open our windows with this kind of noise going on. Come on. Let's change the bylaw. Let's reduce their hours of operation. Please. It's totally unacceptable. Next slide. Next slide. This is a Google aerial view that shows how close the scrap metal yard is to residential properties, with Road 111 on the left and Forest Road on the right. The sounds and feels of explosive vibrations and metal crashing often comes onto our properties from 2 different directions at the same time. The shipping containers that Ben Mint have put up have done little to nothing to reduce the noise and vibrations, and they don't even go all the way around the property. A sound absorbing wall should have been put up along the boundary of their property that is high enough to stop the noise. It is important to also note that the sound test conducted by Ben Mint was biased and failed to accurately reflect the severity of this issue. We have a sound test crew on our property on video showing that there wasn't even any noise at the time the sound was being done. Next video, please, or next, please. Ladies and gentlemen in the council, I'm here before you on behalf of the property owners and businesses of Road 111 and Forest Road. We have 50 signatures so far from residents who passionately backed the proposed amendments. Many people like us have been here before amendment, including some for over 40 years. Everyone has been affected by the persistent noise, vibrations ongoing from the industrial activities of Benmet. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a relentless disruption. We have been experiencing explosions, earth-like quaking, shaking vibrations, metal crashing in our home. It's become a regular part of our lives. The noise and vibrations pound us for hours at a time. And when they start before 7 a.m. and we're past 7 p.m., it's unbearable. These amendments we propose are crucial to provide much needed relief to all the residential properties affected by this relentless noise pollution. This ongoing disturbance does more than disrupt our lives. It affects our property market values, adding a financial strain to our emotional distress. We can't open our windows. Even with the windows closed, the heavy pounding sounds and accompanying vibrations penetrate our homes, invading our personal space and peace. It has taken a tremendous toll on our mental well-being. Approving this amendment is not just a step towards quieter neighborhoods, it's a commitment to the well-being of the community. We urge you to recognize the profound impact this noise and take action to restore tranquility and quality of life in our community. Please take some time to review more sound and video clips at mindfulpeaceproject.org. Keep in mind that the actual sounds and vibration are far worse in person, and we simply can't take it any longer. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council? Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor Gates. I saw on the video, Mr. Cooper, some from this spring and summer. How long has this been affecting you guys?
Since Benmet Steel took over Per Tire and Auto. So it's been several years.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Amanda?
Hi, Paul. Thanks for your very detailed presentation. I just, out of curiosity, I know that there was a bullet point in one of the slides, and I didn't get a chance to read it all, but just curious in terms of if you yourself or any of your neighbors have contacted Perth East bylaw before in terms of like a complaint, and if there also has, just out of curiosity, what all interaction have you had with the Ministry of Environment?
We have put in lots of complaints, and I'm sure that they have gone to Benmet Steel with them. Constantly, yeah, we're always doing that. We even call the police. By the time the police get there, you know, they're coming out of Sebringville, you know, it's probably done. Or they say, oh, we had a busy day, you know, sorry, we worked over, you know, things like that. There's never been any real consequences for Benmet, and it's frustrating.
Okay, other questions? Or maybe let Mike get, oh, sorry, Jeremy?
I was going to ask us, we can contact, that's our responsibility. And, you know, if we ventured out there in the past and it's, it's going to be outside of office hours, I guess, every time. But
yeah, so we have attended the property previously, and as it mentions in your letter, it says while working with the MOE. So I think the previous department prior to me was directing you to the Ministry of Environment.
Yes.
And then if you go to the ministry website, like the provincial website, it says that industrial noise is actually provincially regulated. So it's like our noise bylaw, I can read it actually. It says here that where a municipal bylaw would conflict with the guidance provided in the EPA guidance prevails. So it's really a provincially regulated noise that would need to be dealt with by the MOE. That's our understanding.
In regards to the timing of these things as well, like we can't control the timing of when a business can operate.
So because they're industrially zoned, if you go to Schedule B of our noise bylaw, the noise bylaw is silent on industrial noise of this type, and that's because it's provincially regulated. So we don't, our noise bylaw doesn't pick this up because it would be an MOE item to be dealt with by the province. And then there would be a protocol through the Environmental Protection Act that would basically, like you mentioned, do decibel counts and those sorts of things to kind of get into the details, where our noise bylaw is more for residential noise coming from loud radios or, you know, things of that nature. So industrial noise is strictly with the province. So and I think we have previously given you the contact information for them, but we can certainly make sure that you have their contact information if that's
So you're saying none of these amendments that we're proposing from 50 people in the neighborhood could be looked at by your council?
So that is what I'm saying, and that's coming right from the provincial website, where the Environmental Protection Act would conflict with the municipal bylaw. The Environmental Protection Act would prevail. So
but that's about sound, correct? It doesn't.
That's correct.
It doesn't control what you can do about operating industrial companies in residential neighborhoods.
That's correct. So if you read the provincial website, it says industrial noise is strictly a provincially regulated type of noise.
The noise, of course, but what about operating hours for this type of business?
So our noise bylaw would not address the operating hours, because if you look in Schedule B of our noise bylaw, it says not applicable for a business zone. And if you look at Section 2, Clause D, the business zone would be an industrial property in our noise bylaw. But if you go to Schedule B, the type of noise that you're talking about is not applicable for an industrial zone, meaning that it would be a provincially regulated concern.
Okay, other questions?
And sorry,
go ahead.
Final question. Then the business that is operating here is allowed to operate in the industrial zone? Like, given the change in what was going on there before as an auto wrecker and the new business, that's all going to be brought in under the same industrial use?
That's correct. So when we looked at our noise bylaw, we went to Schedule A, actually. And Schedule A, Clause L says that no person shall make, cause, or permit any noise or sound to be made in or on a highway, real property, or elsewhere in the municipality which disturbs or tends to disturb the quiet, peace, rest, enjoyment, comfort, or convenience of the neighborhood or of persons in the vicinity, but in the brackets, it says unless specifically permitted, meaning you got an industrial zoning approved and permitted for you to operate as an industry, as an industrial use. So therefore the province, if they, and that's not to say that the Ben Met Steel isn't outside of their decibels and things like that. It just means that the province would make that assessment through their provincial protocol, right? Not the municipality.
Okay. Jerry?
Yeah, so given those concerns, and it is the province, it sounds like, but we should be able to help facilitate that with Paul and the neighbors. Could we not help at least facilitate that? Be a helpful proponent to say, hey, us as the township, we're trying to look after our residents. Can you look at this? Would that give a little bit of a punch to help things out if we were to do something like that?
Sorry, through you, Mayor, yeah, I think, Councillor, we're dealing with our bylaw from a staff perspective. Certainly if council wants us to take a different approach as it relates to going to the ministry on behalf of the residents, we're willing to do that with council direction, absolutely. I think the challenge that we have from a staff perspective is the zoning that Ben Met has in place is applicable for the operations that they're doing. Compatibility is always a concern. That's why we raise it every time we have a zoning application. But what they're doing on site is compliant with the zoning. The noise issue is a provincial issue. We can help to try to facilitate that with council's direction, but the zoning piece and the enforcement that Wes and his department have taken is consistent with the existing bylaw. And it's not that we don't sympathize, it's just that, yeah, our hands are tied. But certainly, if council provides direction to staff, we can help facilitate the conversations with the ministry. We can also, if council's direction, we can contact Ben Met and ask them, as a courtesy to their neighbors, to give consideration to their hours of operation. We just can't enforce that.
So thanks. Just for point of clarification then, the hours of operation are out of our hands as well, the 7 to 7? That seems to be the concern. It's after hours of the operation.
And the whole day, you know, like, I don't know why that's out of your hands.
Yeah, the wording in the current bylaw does not address hours of operation for an industrial use.
So why can that not be looked at?
That would be a direction from council.
Yes.
Although I think we would need to consult with the ministry as it relates to, this is an industrial noise and an industrial operation. As you guys can imagine from a council perspective, there's a reason why industrial noise is dealt with separately. This province and a lot of places supports industry in whatever form, way, shape, or form that takes. And sometimes that is not compatible with neighbors, in particular residential neighbors. But industry is viewed as a positive implication within our community. So it would have to be looked at broadly, because you can't, zoning is site specific, a noise bylaw is not site specific typically. And the noise piece itself is regulated by the province.
Wes, did you want to add something?
Yeah, just along those lines, the provincial website also provides guidance on municipal bylaws being shaped. Like in, it says actually the municipal noise control bylaw documents are available for assistance in drafting noise bylaws, as Mike said, so that there isn't conflict between what's in our capacity to regulate and what is strictly the province's. And I think that's because the province wouldn't want us trying to create a municipal bylaw for something that we're not equipped to deal with, and that requires decibels and sound studies and those sorts of things that would get strictly picked up by the province.
Okay, Hugh, and then I'll go to Andrew.
No, I would just suggest that we work with our MPP through the MOE, like have our MPP also help us with the MOE. MOE to see if we can get some help from the residents.
Okay, Andrew?
You know, this is great discussion. So I've been in one of these houses a few years ago and could not hold a conversation. It's been going back and forth. It sounds like the Ministry of Environment is kicking it back to the township, saying it's a bylaw thing from what I understand. Now we're saying it's the Ministry of the Environment. So the other similar recycling facility that's in the boundary of our western neighbors operates from 8 till 5. So I'm guessing that was a choice, or I don't understand the difference between why they're operating 8 till 5 and only 8 till noon on Saturdays, and why, because we have other potential sites like this throughout the township, one in Rostock, a couple others. So I would say we need to try and solve this puzzle as soon as possible. And I would hope and know that all of our industrial and business partners in Perth East are very community conscious, and they would want to help and work with us to solve the situation, not kick it around for another 3 or 4 years. This needs to be solved. I'm going to guess that property values are going to be in play here. Now that there is a known issue, it's going to have to be disclosed. So that's kind of a big deal, and it's not really possible. Maybe can we change the zoning? Like, I don't see any reason why this, which is clearly not a fit, wrong business and wrong place. Whatever decision was made, that's great, but everybody makes mistakes. So the zoning change, I don't know if that's possible, but this needs to be solved. So just a little caveat, a little situation on how I know the business owners in the Stratford and Perth East area are top notch and want to get along with their neighbors. There's a stamping facility by the ballparks, which borders the dog park in Stratford. I know that's not our jurisdiction. They closed the overhead doors in the middle of the summer because there was a complaint from the dog park. So that's where I want to be. I want our industry and businesses to show that same respect. Clearly, these people here are more important than somebody's dog.
Wes?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to the zoning there, Andrew, Councillor McAlpine. The properties adjacent to Ben Met Steel are also industrially zoned. And actually, your property, sir, is actually commercially zoned, which would be probably put in place, I'm assuming, back in the day when they provided with this zoning. So there was buffering there. But what happened, it appears, is that the residential uses that are there now were actually no longer commercial. So they did build that in. It appears they built that in initially with the area that Ben Met was buffered by industrial and then commercial into the residential area. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Okay, so what does council wish to do going forward? Go ahead.
If I may, I'm not really sure. I would thought we would be able to do the bylaw, but apparently that's not possible now. So that's unfortunate. It seems the wording in here, you know, the actual resolution speaks to, you know, the peace and quiet basically on your property. So I would say that Perth East Council inform Ben Met that they need to be good neighbors, however you want to word that. That there is a problem, and we officially recognize there's a problem with the residents in the area, and that we would request their assistance to remedy the situation as best they can. And I don't want to word that, but
Ashley's working on that.
Thank you.
So, Councillor McAlpine, is there certain hours or something that you want mentioned in this letter, specifically? There's been mention of 7 till 7, and then there's a mention of 8 till 5.
Well, if our bylaw doesn't really cover the hours, we're saying our bylaw doesn't cover the hours, and I would suggest 8 till 5, because if this document doesn't mean anything from this particular thing, then we would request 8 till 5. So that's a very good point, Clerk Carter.
Jeremy?
I was under the understanding our bylaws said something, so that just doesn't happen.
No, 7 till 7, through your mayor, it would apply to the residential zone. If you look at Schedule B, when you're in the business zone, if you look in the definitions, industrial is mentioned as a business zone, and when you apply that definition to Schedule B and go down the chart, items 4, 5, and 6, it says non-applicable, meaning they could be running shift work around the clock. As long as they're within the confines of the provincial regulations on decibels, which the province would regulate, that's the permission for an industrial zone.
Okay, Andrew?
Additionally, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but I think at this point I may, I believe that BenMed is our steel collector at the dump. Maybe we should inform them that that partnership is important and we'd like to continue it.
So we have a motion that the Council of Township of Perth East receive the presentation from Paul Cooper, Perth East resident, proposed amendments to the noise bylaw, bylaw 53-2008 for information, and that council direct staff to contact Ben Met Steel and request they operate from 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, Saturday 8 to noon, and with respect to their neighbors. Moved by Andrew. Do we have a seconder? Hugh. Comments or questions? Amanda?
Just a comment. I think like I agree with Councillor McAlpine in terms of what Mr. Cooper's presented and some of the audio clips that he was able to share. The only thing that I'm a bit concerned of, and I'm certainly supportive of us sending a letter to the company saying that this is brought forward to us by residents, that we have 50 signatures, that sort of thing. The thing that I'm a little weary of is us stating like hours of operation, things like that, because we are not the regulator. The Ministry of the Environment is the regulator, and I caution that without us actually knowing what the regulation stipulates under the Ministry of Environment. And I would also think perhaps that there should be, like I know that I had asked Mr. Cooper and he did explain some of the historical interaction with the township and the one reference to the Ministry of the Environment, but it really, the complaints need to go to the Ministry of Environment, in my mind, as the regulating body. So I just think we have to be careful to dictate private business the hours of operation. But I agree that there's certainly things that need to be addressed here. So for me, I'm supportive of part of your thing. I just wanted to put that out there for food for thought. I absolutely agree that we need to help facilitate an amicable path forward for everybody, but just cautioning like our place. So I just wanted to put that out for conversation, and not that that I'm not supportive of us facilitating and flagging that. I think we have to be a little bit careful. That's just my perspective.
Mr. Cooper?
I also think that it's just going to get worse with more and more complaints. And if you're saying it's out of your hands, then that's going to be your decision. But there's going to be 200 townhouses right across the road from BenMed, and they are going to get pounded and pounded and pounded. And 50 other residents, what are they? They're all going to be looking for a tax break because their properties have gone down. Like, how are you going to deal? You know how many tax dollars this township pulls in from 50 residents in that area?
I believe that subdivision is in the city of Stratford.
It is in Stratford.
Right,
so not that, just the 50 surrounding BenMed.
Okay, any more comments, Hugh?
I just think to add an issue to that we also work with Matthew Ray and the Kennedy Pacific, and also come forward with some solutions.
Okay, and Andrew will second that, so we have an amendment to, or just usual, we can add that to the original motion without an amendment. Both of you agree to that? Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, clear as mud, Bob?
I appreciate that everybody wants to do something to help out Mr. Cooper's concerns and his neighbors' concerns. I would much prefer, since it's not going to be solved tonight, that we actually would generate a staff report to tell us what we can and cannot do, which is kind of what we've heard from Mike and Wes tonight. It's all new to me to learn about the MOE's guidelines and what control we have or we don't have. So if it was possible to defer a decision on this and have a staff report generated on what the letter to the MOE would look like, what the letter or the visit to BenMet would look like. I believe this is just a satellite operation and their headquarters is probably in Guelph or something like that. So there's a few other things that we could probably explore that we haven't thought of as a group, and perhaps staff would have a few other suggestions that we could engage, like Hugh mentioned with our MPP.
Okay, so procedurally, we just did this at the county. We had a motion on the floor, and we left it on the floor. Do you remember what happened there? Where's Jerry? We left it on the floor, and we deferred it, did we not? And we just left the motion alone till we got more information back. No, the amendment, it's just part of the original motion. You're really taxing us here how this all works.
Yeah, you can defer this, and then just I'll move a second and stuff. Direction for stuff. So everyone's in favor to defer.
Okay, so the mover and the seconder, would you be in favor of deferring it till we get a staff report back so we make sure we're all on the same page as the ministry?
So that should be all of council, but is something to defer.
Yeah, all of council, okay. So would all of council be willing to defer till we get more information back?
If I may, sorry. Thank you, Mayor Agates. Is there anything that can be changed other than generating a paper to say we can't change anything? That's like, you guys are the pros. It sounds like CBO writes, got it. If there's nothing to do, then there's nothing to do. We'll solve it some other way. But I don't want to waste your guys' time. I don't want to waste anybody's time. But if it's not in our jurisdiction, it seems to change all the time. I don't know if it's a different interpretation of the thing, and I'm not saying anything against staff or anything, but it seems to change from what I can recall. So it would be nice to have a report, but if there's nothing to see here, then there's nothing to see here. Do we have just an overall opinion, or is it worth digging into?
So I think I would suggest to you the interpretation of the noise bylaw is consistent between the CAO and the CBO and the clerk that you currently employ. How it was interpreted by those before us, I'm not going to speak to, and I can't speak to that. The jurisdictional responsibilities between municipalities and province, I'm pretty comfortable suggesting to you that industrial noise is a provincially regulated issue, and there's a number of reasons for that. The extent that we could provide information from a report would be more about providing more details for council to understand what that jurisdiction looks like and what the process that the ministry would undertake looks like as it relates to an industrial operation. I don't know to what extent environmental compliance approval might be required for BenMet. I don't know the answers to that. That would be information that could come in the form of a report. I don't believe it will change the jurisdictional issue, and I don't believe it will change the comments that have been made as it relates to asking BenMet to be a good neighbor. Certainly, this council has every opportunity to do that, provincially regulated or not. And we do have other operations that are similar in nature, and they have found ways to work with their neighbors. They've done that on their own, not waiting for us to provide them guidance to do that, in my time here anyways.
Sorry, if I may, then I would suggest that we possibly have the conversation with our excellent industrial facility and generate the report at the same time. So we're kind of working on two things, if council sees what I mean. We'll, in the resolution, we'll add to generate a report. That'll come back, and that'll be the next step. Should there be any more issues arise, then we'll be prepared and move forward from there, depending on the response from the facility. Does that sound reasonable, or?
Okay, I just have to figure out how to do that procedurally. So we have this motion, so you wish to?
So mover and seconder in support of adding to have a report for council, or sorry, for staff with all of the work. I think that would make sense.
But then you still want them to vote on this card, or just?
Yeah, because I understand.
So Councillor McAlpine, just so I understand, you're looking for staff to still send the correspondence and then work with our MPP, as well as refer it to staff for a follow-up report.
With the scope of the letter that you should suggesting that we send, what are you suggesting, like, in terms of how we're framing the letter? Oh, sorry, I didn't have it right.
Acknowledge that we believe there's a problem as a council. We have the people, right? Suggest altering the hours to match other facilities in the area, which in this case would be 8 to 5, and I'm not sure if that's voluntary. We don't have to say that, but suggest altering the hours would be in that conversation, right? And yeah, just please be a good neighbor. You know, it's a very political letter. It's not meant to do anything other than acknowledge there's a problem that we believe, we may not, we haven't voted on it yet. We believe there's a problem that needs to be partnered with them to solve. That's clear. So that's the intent of the letter, is just acknowledgement that there's a problem. And then while that's happening and they're mulling it over, hopefully things go better, maybe not. And then we'll be prepared with this return staff report and see if there's any options in the future.
Sorry, just further, so we're doing multiple things, you're suggesting we do multiple things simultaneously, but we don't 100% know what the, what is it called, environmental act says related to industrial hours. So like, do you think that it puts the township at risk by suggesting that without us getting the report first and then the letter, instead of just saying, we're flagging this to you, that we had a delegation from representing 50 people in the community, they've outlined this concern, this is their presentation, and just sort of, instead of us dictating. For me, I would be more comfortable with that as just a suggestion, because I think Mr. Cooper's presentation could actually be shared with the company, and we sort of facilitate it that way instead of us dictating things without us knowing the full scope of everything. That's just a suggestion I wanted to offer up, that from my perspective, I think I would be more comfortable with that.
So what we can do is I'll read this motion again. We can either support it or not, and if we don't support it, then a new motion can come forward and something else can be done. So let's do with this motion first, and then we'll see what happens from there, okay? So I'm gonna, Jerry, read it again.
Can we not simply ask the mover and seconder just to remove the hour portion, the hours, instead of having to, because I'm in total support of Councillor Rod Higgins and McAlpine as well, but let's remove those hours, the request of the hours. Pretty simple.
Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Thank you, Mayor Gitz. I think that's wise, but I think that the concern over the hours is, we've seen by the recording times that the hours that are stipulated already are not being kept. So there should be something like, please adhere to the hours of operation, whatever that is. So these good people can go on about their business, not have to worry about early in the morning and later than that, period. So mentioning the hours, but not stipulating any desires might be valuable because it's clearly outside of the hours of operation.
But if we share his presentation, it actually shares his proposed bylaw. And so it would actually be, if us remaining silent and then actually including the correspondence outlines the proposed, what Mr. Cooper was proposing is what I'm sort of saying. So anyways, if we are not taking the hours out, I will not be supporting this, but I do support something being done just so that everybody is clear with my position on this.
So are the mover and seconder willing to take the hours out, yes or no? Yes? And a seconder, yes? Okay. All right, so that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the presentation from Paul Cooper, Perth East resident, proposed amendments to the noise bylaw, bylaw 53-2008 for information, and that council direct staff to contact Ben Met Steel and request that they operate within business hours with respect to their neighbors. Is that? I took the times out.
Oh,
I just took so council directs staff to contact Ben Met Steel and request that they operate within business hours in respect to their neighbors. Council directs staff to work with MPP Matthew Ray on a resolution, and that council directs staff to prepare a follow-up report. So the changes for the hours, are you okay with that? You wanted that worded a little different? Okay, is everybody okay with that they operate within?
I feel like it should say consider, like, I think we're still the way, anyways. I don't want to like meddle too much into it. I think the thought is there, what we're getting at, and we're not saying a strict time. We're just kind of generally stating that.
Ashley's writing again.
I don't want to nitpick on this, but.
Oh, okay. So you want the word consider, or you want to leave it? I don't want to put words in the mover and the seconder. You just tell me what you want.
I would say operate within business, approved business hours is the way to go. We're not telling them what to do. We're just asking them to comply with existing.
Okay.
So it's worded right now as request.
So request that they operate, or consider they operate.
To be fair, how are we supposed to know what regular business hours are for many different companies? Like that's what I have an issue with. If you ask like a farm operation, like their hours of operation, like consider yourself working 9 to 5 only. Like that's not going to happen, right? So like I'm not like, that's maybe a bad example here. What I'm saying is like I think there's a bit of like concern saying operate between business hours. Like what is considered, because they might say actually our business hours are from 8 to 7. Right? And so I think the way it's worded is like confusing to me. But I also don't want to spend tons of time tying this up over the business hours piece, but I just want to make sure we're getting it right.
Andrew?
I know there's a motion on the floor. Can I ask staff a quick question? As I understand, there is a set business hours now.
So I would just, through you, Mayor Eggetts, I would just again stress that the Schedule B in our noise bylaw in the business zone says that the industrial noises are non-applicable. There is no time limit on that type of noise coming from an industrially zoned property. If there's an issue with the noise coming from an industrial property, the Ministry of Environment would need to pick that up and evaluate all of the noise coming from that property. And I would strongly recommend that we don't insert ourselves in a provincially regulated process, because I think that would probably just be a liability and muddy the waters for the investigation that they would do in this situation.
Okay. So, okay, so Ashley's making another suggestion. We'll see whether council directs staff to contact Ben Met Steel and request that they operate in respect of their neighbors and don't add any hours or anything in. Yep, you good with that? Okay. Wow. Okay, so everybody's okay with that? Then. Okay, Council, Township of Perth East received the presentation from Paul Cooper, Perth East resident, proposed amendments to the noise bylaw, bylaw 53-2008 for information, and that council directs staff to contact Ben Met Steel and request they operate in respect of their neighbors, and that council directs staff to work with MPP Matthew Ray on a resolution, and that council directs staff to prepare a follow-up report. Okay, everybody, wow, got this? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Cooper, for your concerns, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, we're going to move on. We have no other presentations. We do have a delegation. We have Kevin Brown and Dave Carroll with us, and they're from the Gads Hill Sportsman Club. So, welcome, gentlemen. Good to see you. Welcome to Perth East, and the floor is yours.
Your Worship, Mayor Agates and members of council, my name's Kevin Brown. I'm the president of the Gads Hill Sportsman Club. Thank you for the opportunity to address you regarding our concerns with natural heritage or natural environment designation of 4062 Perth Line 44 of Gads Hill Sportsman Club. We are aware of the magnitude of the new official plan project and the staffing difficulties the county has endured during this project. As set out in the correspondence you've received from us, the Gads Hill Sportsman Club has been around in existence for over 60 years and operates as a trap shooting range, hosting local events such as a club ATV poker runs, annual Christmas functions, and other events throughout the year. Also set out in the correspondence, we have very real concerns with our property being largely designated as natural environment. We do appreciate that on last Thursday, July 4th, Moira Davidson, Senior Policy Planner, sent us an email with comments regarding our letter from March 29th of this year, and we'll reply with our response to her shortly. Perth East Council's assistance in this matter has been and will continue to be very important moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions of the presenters? Amanda?
Sorry, just one. Thank you so much. Great to hear from you. Is there, so you had acknowledged the receipt of the planner's correspondence to you. Are there points in the response that you still want to get clarified, or how can we help support you guys in terms of getting the answers that you need to be in a comfortable spot with your members?
I can speak to that briefly. That won't move, does move. We are going to do a response to Moira, and hopefully, I think hopefully she can get back to us. I know there's a meeting in July 23rd, and we've
22nd, sorry.
22nd. Yeah, there's meetings 22nd, but meetings with individuals on the 23rd. And we're in the process of trying to get on that 23rd agenda, so he can speak directly. But we were quite relieved that we did receive the information from Moira, even though we do still have issues, and we're going to get back to her on those.
Could I just kindly ask as the Atlas Ward rep if you just want to keep me in the loop or CC me or anything that I can do, so just so I'm aware if there's anything I can do to help advocate, I'd be happy to support, just for awareness, be helpful to know.
Certainly.
Okay, other questions, comments? If not, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the presentation from Kevin Brown and David Carroll in regards to item number 9.1 for information. Moved by Jerry, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you for coming, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Okay, now we're going to move to public meetings, and we do have 2 public meetings tonight. So the first one is, yep. Council will now temporarily adjourn to sit as Committee of Adjustment pursuant to Section 45 of the Planning Act. I now declare this public hearing open. The public hearing is being held to consider an application affecting property currently owned by Jeffrey Roth and described as Concession 5, Part Lot 20, RP 44 R2697, Part 1, Northeast Hope Ward, 2198, line 40. The purpose of this hearing is to give the committee and the public an opportunity to hear all interested persons with respect to the proposed application and receive their input, and for the committee to make a decision on the application. All persons attending this hearing will be given an opportunity to be heard or make a presentation. Committee members may ask questions for the purposes of clarifying the application, but are asked to withhold comments on this application until all present have been given an opportunity to be heard. Any person who wishes to receive written notice of the decision made by the Committee of Adjustment is asked to email their name and mailing address to the Secretary Treasurer at this time. An appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal objecting to the decision made at this hearing may be filed by the applicant, the municipality, the minister, or prescribed utility providers with the Secretary Treasurer no later than July 29, 2024. No written notice, except as previously noted, will be given unless requested at this time. I will now call on Student Planner Harlan Sewer to present the planning report and recommendations. Good evening, welcome to Perth East, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This application for a minor variance numbered A6-2024 was submitted to the Township by Jeffrey Roth. The property is legally described as Part Lot 20, Concession 5, Northeast Hope Ward in the Township of Perth East, and is municipally known as 2198 line 40 as identified on the slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. The applicant is requesting relief to facilitate the construction of an addition to the existing single detached dwelling. Relief is requested from Section 6.9.125.2 of the Perth East zoning bylaw to decrease the minimum front yard depth from 15 meters to 12.5 meters to construct the addition within the front yard. The property is designated agricultural in the official plan. The Section 5.5.16 of the official plan permits non-farm residential development to occur for lots created via the conversion of a formal institutional use. Therefore, construction of the addition is permitted. The property is zoned site-specific agricultural, numbered A-152A in the Township of Perth East zoning bylaw, which sets the minimum front yard depth requirement of 15 meters. The requested relief of 12.5 meters maintains the intent of the minimum front yard depth requirements in the zoning bylaw, as adequate area remains to accommodate parking, intersection visibility, grading, drainage, and building maintenance. The proposed addition meets all other zoning bylaw requirements. Next slide, please. Thank you. The requested relief can be considered minor in nature and desirable for the area, as the proposed addition is adequately set back from the street and not anticipated to impact sightlines or the maintenance or the use of line 40. The Planning Division have received a comment from the member of the public on July 5th, 2024, expressing concern with the potential obstruction of the daylight triangle at line 40 and Perth Road 107.
The proposed addition does not encroach in the daylight triangle, and it maintains adequate intersection visibility. Planning staff are of the opinion that this application conforms with the official plan and maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The variance is minor and desirable for the use of the land. With that, the planning department does recommend approval at this time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant agent wish to address any of the questions or comments that were raised by the public? Seeing no one, does the applicant agent wish to speak? No. Are there any questions from committee members? No. The committee will now consider a motion regarding the application. And the motion that we have is that the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment receive the report prepared by the student planner dated July 9, 2024, entitled Application for Minor Variance D13-A06-2024-PE, submitted by Jeffrey Roth, affecting lands described as Part Lot 20, Concession 5, Northeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East, 2198940 for information, and that the committee approved minor variance D13-A06-2024-PE, affecting land described above as it relates to, number 1, relief from section 6.9.152.2 to decrease the minimum front yard depth from 15 meters to 12.5 meters, to facilitate the construction of an addition to the existing single detached dwelling subject to the following conditions. And there's one condition, that the owner obtain the necessary building permit within 2 years of the approval of the minor variance. Do we have a mover and a seconder for that? Moved by Bob, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and then our second public hearing is by Geese, WMJ Geese Construction, Cedar Homes, Rose Homes, Inc., and described as Plan 44M80, Lot 30, Milverton Ward, 109-111, Hughes Street, Milverton. I'm not going to read the preamble. We're going to jump right down to Harleen, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This application for a minor variance numbered A7-2024 was submitted to the township by Cedar Rose Homes Incorporated on behalf of WMJ Geese Construction Limited. Property is legally described as Lot 30, Plan 44 and 80, Milverton, in the Township of Perth East, and is municipally known as 109 Hughes Street, as identified on the slide. Next slide, please. The applicant is requesting relief to facilitate the construction of a one-story semi-detached dwelling. Relief is requested from section 13.2.7 of the Perth East zoning bylaw to increase the maximum lot coverage from 40% to 49.5%. The applicant has indicated that the units of the semi-detached will be divided through a later part lot control application. For context, on April 16, 2024, the Township's Committee of Adjustment approved minor variance application A3-2024 for the property. The approval granted the property relief from the aforementioned section of the zoning bylaw, increasing the maximum lot coverage from 40% to 49% to facilitate the construction of a one-story semi-detached dwelling. Due to discrepancies between the relief intended, which was a maximum lot coverage of 49.5%, and the relief approved of 49%, the subject application is before the Committee of Adjustment. A building permit has been issued in accordance with the lot coverage of 49.5%, and construction of the dwelling is currently underway. The subject lands are approximately 710 square meters in size and have a lot frontage of approximately 18.3 meters. The property is designated serviced urban area in the Perth County official plan and residential in the Milverton official plan. The semi-detached dwelling is a permitted use of the property and will provide compact development that promotes efficient use of municipal infrastructure within the serviced urban area. The property is zoned residential medium density, numbered R2-13 in the Township of Perth East zoning bylaw, which sets the maximum lot coverage requirement of 40%. The requested relief from 40% to 49.5% maintains the intent of the maximum lot coverage requirement in the zoning bylaw, as an adequate area remains to accommodate setbacks, amenity space, parking, grading, and drainage. The semi-detached dwelling meets all other zoning bylaw requirements. The requested relief can be considered minor in nature and desirable for the area, as a semi-detached dwelling will be of a similar size with similar setbacks as other properties within the neighborhood. Planning staff are of the opinion that this application conforms with the official plan and maintains the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. The variance is minor and desirable for the use of the land, and then with that, the planning department does recommend approval at this time.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in opposition of the application? Seeing no one, is there anyone present who wishes to make a presentation or speak in support of the application other than the applicant or the applicant's agent? Seeing no one, does the applicant or the applicant agent wish to make a presentation or speak with respect to the application? They do not. Are there any questions from committee members? You?
I'm not sure if it would be for planning or building, but when you're changing the lot coverage by basically 10%, is there, does somebody relook at the water, like the grading and the ability to handle the water? Because you're obviously now covering a larger area.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Eggets, thanks for the question, Deputy Mayor. For every new dwelling, we would require a final lot grading certificate done by a licensed Ontario land surveyor. So a qualified person would go out and ensure that all of the site grading and drainage is adequate for the property. And that would be our requirement in mostly every situation for a new dwelling in Perth East, but especially because it's a requirement in the subdivision agreement on this particular property. So the answer is yes, we would ensure that that's in place.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, we have a motion that the Township of Perth East Committee of Adjustment receive a report prepared by the student planner dated July 9, 2024, entitled Application for Minor Variance D13-A07-2024-PE, submitted by Cedar Rose Homes, Inc., Rick Hamming, on behalf of William J. Geese Construction Limited, affecting lands described as Plan 44M80, Lot 30 in Milverton, Township of Perth East, 109 and 111 Pew Street for information, and that the committee approved minor variance T13-A07-2024-PE affecting lands described above as it relates to number 1, relief from section 13.2.7 of the Perth East zoning bylaw to increase the maximum lot coverage from 40% to 49.5% to facilitate the construction of a semi-detached dwelling. Moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we will resume. So. Okay, the next one on our agenda, under reports, we're in the of Jeff with us tonight. So Jeff, welcome to Perth East, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. So the consent application B04 2024 was submitted by Patterson Planning Consultants for the lands that are municipally known as 2255 Webster Street. Oh, I'll get you to the next slide because I don't. Here, thank you. So the subject property is within the serviced urban area in the County of Perth official plan. It's considered a settlement area. There are existing sanitary and storm services available to both the severed and the retained lands. The lands are currently serviced by a private well. So planning staff have included a condition, which is number 6, to require that water services are extended to the proposed lands to be retained. The lands to be severed are occupied by an existing single detached dwelling, and the lands to be retained are occupied with a seed canister. So again, we've suggested a condition, which is number 7, to require the removal or the relocation of the existing seed canister in order to conform to the Perth East zoning bylaw. The lands are zoned as residential medium density R2 zone, which permits a single detached dwelling, a semi-detached duplex, triplex, and converted dwellings containing not more than 3 dwelling units. Next slide, please. The proposed lot to be severed originally included interior side yard setbacks of 1.5 meters and 2.1 meters on the circulated sketch. The minimum interior side yard setback for a single detached dwelling is 1.5 meters on one side and 2.4 meters on the other side. So the applicant decided to submit a revised severance sketch that increases the side yard setback to meet the minimum requirements of the zoning bylaw. So the revised severance sketch provides a lot frontage of 23.6 meters with a lot area of 2,320 square meters for the retained lot, and a lot frontage of 16.6 meters and a lot area of 511 square meters for the lot to be severed. Through the public consultation, concerns were raised regarding the property maintenance of the subject lands and the development potential on the lands to be severed. So as mentioned, I have specified what's allowed in the medium density R2 zone. We did advise the next door neighbors or the neighbors across the street of those requirements and what they could construct on the property. And any complaints that are received relating to property standards should be addressed to the property standards bylaw through the township. So we did advise them that that's how they could deal with any concerns that they had. The Upper Thames River Conservation Authority stated that there is a no development setback required from the top of bank of the Regent Street Drainage Works drain. Their requirement will be reviewed when the applicant submits a building permit application. They will be required to meet a minimum setback of 10 meters imposed by the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. And they also need to meet the minimum setback in the zoning bylaw, which requires a 15-meter setback from the top or bank of a watercourse or an open municipal drain. They'll also need to get a permit from the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. An archaeological assessment was completed by the applicant, and that concluded that no artifacts or other archaeological resources were found on the property during the stage 2 assessment, and that no further archaeological assessment for the property is required. Blue Water Recycling and Hydro One stated that they had no comments on the application, and as mentioned previously, Upper Thames did state that a 10-meter no development setback is required from the top of the drain. Public notice of the application was provided to the neighboring property owners on May 15th in accordance with the Planning Act. As mentioned, we did receive comments from 2 neighboring property owners, and those neighbors, we have responded to their concerns. They did mention that they were concerned with a higher density building may be constructed on subject lands. We have told them what's allowed in the zoning bylaw in the R2 zone, and the applicant has identified that they intend to build within the constraints of the residential R2 zone. Planning staff are supportive of the proposed severance, subject to the recommended conditions of the consent approval being fulfilled, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Questions of the report? Andrew?
Thank you, Mayor Goods. Planner Van, I'm just wondering, can this, the severed lot and the red, can it be further subdivided in the future?
Through the mayor, the difficulty in dividing that lot is the lot frontage. So you wouldn't be able to create additional lots off of that unless they went back to the previous design where that road would be constructed and extended from Regent Street down into this area. So they have recently come forward through for a deeming bylaw, which consolidated all of the different properties, all the different lots that were part of the previous plan of subdivision, to consolidate those into one parcel of land. So the intention is to develop that as one parcel of land at this point in time. They do have the option of making future applications, but they're constrained by the zoning bylaw because they don't have road frontage off of what was that Regent Street, which is unopened.
And thanks, you kind of answered my one question about the need for a municipal level road if they go too far down there, right? So is that something that we would worry about in this process or not really? It looks like that's not going to be the direction, but is that in the cards too, or they backed off from that?
Yeah, through the mayor. So their intention is they walked away from the previous approval, which would have had lots that would have been fronting onto that unopened road allowance. They consolidated those into one parcel. If they ever decided to go back to that process in the future, they have that option, but you're likely dealing with it through a plan of subdivision because you're going to have to construct that road. You can't just create lots off of an unopened road allowance.
Thank you.
Okay, Hugh?
On the land that they're severing there, if they put a triplex on it, would they wouldn't be able to put the three of them facing the road, they would have to put them north-south, like they could put them east-west, like with the road.
Through the mayor, so you wouldn't be able to create like 3 individual lots and deal with it through part lot control. So if you're creating a triplex, however they configure that internally within that one building, they can deal with that however they want. It might be 3 separate stories. It could be 1 in the basement, 2 stories, as long as they meet the zoning bylaw requirements for the height and they are able to provide enough parking spaces. So we wouldn't regulate exactly the placement of those units, but they'd be allowed up to those 3 units. And then they would have to meet the other zoning bylaw provisions.
If they put them all down, like not upstairs, downstairs, but it was like kind of like 3 separate buildings. If they did do them, let's say on like a north-south axis, they would have to put a road.
Through the mayor, they'd have to provide a driveway. So however they want to set up those units, you provide a driveway into the parking lot area, and you could divide those so that they're north to south, up and down, whatever the case may be. They have the ability to create those however they want. So they could have a unit that is 2 stories in height on a third of the building face, right? Or a third of the building area, or they could separate it by floors. Our zoning bylaw doesn't regulate exactly how that triplex works on the interior, just the fact that you can get 3 units.
Okay, other questions? No, okay, then we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive a report prepared by the planner dated July 9, 2024, entitled Consent to Sever Application B04-24, submitted by Penny and Keith Holman for lands described as lots 224 to 229, Plan 334, Southeast Hope Ward, Township of Perth East, 2255 Webster Street, Shakespeare, for information, and that council advise the Land Division Committee or its delegate authority that the Township of Perth East supports the application file B04-2024, subject to the following conditions. There are 7 conditions for the Township of Perth East. The first one is that all financial requirements have been met. The second one, that the township receives cash in lieu of parkland dedication fee has been paid for each new severed lot. Number 3, confirmation that the township has The apportionment schedule for municipal drains in the area to be reviewed and to be updated. Number 4, confirmation that the severed and retained lots have been assigned separate municipal addresses and signs. 5, confirmation that the road access to the severed and retained parcels are to their satisfaction. 6, that the owner developer enter into development agreement with the Township of Perth East and that the terms of the agreement be satisfactory to the Township of Perth East, including but not limited to provision to connect to potable water services, sanitary and storm sewage systems. The second one, financial securities and requirements for connection to municipal water and sanitary. And the third one, a requirement for entrances. And the 7th condition is that confirmation that the existing sea canister on the property has been removed or altered to conform with the zoning bylaw. And we have 2 conditions from Perth County. Number 1, that the confirmation be received from a solicitor that the certificate of the official will be scanned and attached to the electronic registration of the transfer. And number 2, that the Land Division Committee be provided with a description that's consistent with the application and equal to that required for registration of the deed/transfer or other conveyance of interest with the Registry Act or Land Title Act. If it has been determined that the subject property is a whole lot of the original township plan of survey and an exemption order cannot be provided by the land registry, satisfactory proof of the same shall be provided by a solicitor with confirmation stating the reason why an exemption order cannot be provided. So we need a mover and a seconder for those conditions. Moved by Amanda, second by Bob. All in favor? Carried. Yep.
Jeff, when we get the meeting notice before we send it for review, this one is the last one received, but this one, you just don't go hard and follow that. You just switch that around. That'd be great. Appreciate that.
Certainly.
Okay. All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. Now we're going to get the CAO report, and we're having an update to human resources manual policies. And Jacinda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Agats. Before council tonight are the 4 policies out of the HR manual that I brought last council meeting with the updates and recommendations from council. So I would just like to draw your attention specifically to the org chart with the removal of the library staff and the planners, and also highlighting consistent language throughout the policies as far as it relates to council or committee of council. If there are any questions from the report, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Questions of the report? Hugh?
It talks about the consumer price index. Negative CPI will be applied against future positive CPI as approved by council. I don't know if carrying that forward is really necessary. But just, if it's negative, well, we lost that year, so I don't know what anybody else feels, but I don't know if it's worthwhile carrying it forward. But just what everybody else feels.
Okay, anyone else on that one? You have a response, Jacinda?
Yep, so that was put in through you, Mayor, I guess, to be kind of financially responsible. It's been looked at over the last 20 years, and there's been months, Treasurer Michaels isn't here tonight, but there's been months where we've had negative CPI, but the overall average of the whole year hasn't reflected negatively. Different policies are written differently. With council's direction, we can make this worded however council would like to move forward, but it's just one strategy. But historically it hasn't happened here, but it's just there to cover the what ifs.
So that would be basically, this is just talking about month by month. This is not talking about the whole year.
It is talking over the full year, yeah.
But we were July till June now, or is it
We're through Mayor, we're July, through till June, and Treasurer Michaels did make that consistent with the rest of all of the tiers within Perth County. So we calculate it the same way as everybody else.
It does say as approved by council, so it gives us.
Okay, anyone else with comments or questions? If not, then we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Human Resources and the CAO dated July 9, 2024, entitled Update to Human Resources HR Manual Policies 1-2, Organizational Structure with Organizational Chart, 2-5, Job Descriptions, 4-1, Job Evaluation / Maintenance Review, 4-4, Salary Administration, HR-2024-06 for information, and that further that council approve and direct staff to implement the proposed policy updates, Policy 1-2, Organizational Structure with Organizational Chart, Policy 2-5, Job Descriptions, Policy 4-1, Job Evaluation Maintenance Review, and Policy 4-4, Salary Administration. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jacinda. Next, we're going to move to the clerk, and the first item is tender opening Branch A of the North Black Creek. And Ashley, it was yours.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Rigetts. So this is to award the tender for Branch A of the North Black Creek Municipal Drain. So tenders were opened last week, and the recommendation is Robinson Farm Drainage. The Court of Revision did meet prior to the council meeting tonight and upheld the assessment schedule. So just looking to award that.
Okay, any questions, Jeremy? Oh, okay, well, just give me a sec here. That the Council of the Township of Perth East received the report prepared by the Development and Drainage Coordinator dated July 9, 2024, entitled Tender Opening Branch A of the North Black Creek Municipal Drain 2024 DDC-2024-25 for information, and further that council award the tender for construction of Branch A of the North Black Creek Municipal Drain 2024 to Robinson Farm Drainage with their submission of $64,633 excluding taxes, only upon satisfactory resolution to all appeals before the Court of Revision. Moved by Jeremy, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Next one is tender opening Rostock Municipal Drain. Ashley?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Rigetts. The Court of Revision did meet tonight and upheld the assessment schedule, so we're looking to award this drain to Marquette Farm Drainage. Can answer any questions.
Questions of the report? No, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Development and Drainage Coordinator dated July 9, 2024, entitled Tender Opening Rostock Municipal Drain 2024 DDC-2024-26 for information. Further that council award the tender for construction of the Rostock Municipal Drain 2024 to Marquette Farm Drainage Limited with their submission of $94,038.91, excluding taxes, only upon satisfactory resolution to all appeals before the Court of Revision. Moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And the last report is tender opening of the Wilker Municipal Drain. Ashley?
Okay, thanks, Mayor Rigetts. Again, the Court of Revision met prior to this meeting and upheld the assessment schedule, so we're looking to award the contractor Robinson Farm Drainage for the Wilker Municipal Drain. I can answer any questions.
Questions of the report? Seeing no questions, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Development and Drainage Coordinator dated July 9, 2024, entitled Tender Opening Wilker Municipal Drain 2024 DDC-2024-27 for information. Further, that council award the tender for construction of the Wilker Municipal Drain 2024 to the Robinson Farm Drainage with their submission of $460,433, excluding taxes, only upon satisfactory resolution to all appeals before the Court of Revision. Moved by Bob, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Ashley. Next, we're going to move to Finance, Canada Community Building Fund, and Mike's going to do that tonight.
Thanks, Mayor Rigetts. Our treasurer Paula did a great report. It's basically a summary of the extension of what was used to be referred to as the federal gas tax agreement, but is now the CCBF. No really significant changes as it relates to the agreement from prior years. The one thing I want to note, and I think it's a positive for us from an administrative standpoint, municipalities with populations in excess of 30,000 are now required to complete a housing needs assessment in order to be eligible for the CCBF. We're under that population threshold, so it's less of a administrative burden for us, but I think it does highlight the thinking that there is still significant focus around the housing element at the federal level. We heard an announcement this week about the half funding housing accelerator fund. There's a second fund of that's coming out as well, that again is geared exclusively to housing. So it is a topic that we're going to continue to see, but I do think it's positive that in this instance it doesn't create an additional administrative requirement for us. I can try to address any questions if there are.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Any questions of the report? You?
Not really a question. I just find it amazing how you collect gas tax, which you would think would be going to infrastructure that's to deal with transportation. And they have pretty well anything that you want, you can spend it on. So just a comment.
Okay, anyone else? If not, we have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Financial Services / Treasurer dated July 9, 2024, entitled Canada Community Building Fund, CCBF 2024-2034, FIN-2024-14 for information, and that Council give 3 readings to Bylaw 39-2024, being a bylaw to authorize the signing of the municipal funding agreement for the transfer of Canada Community Building Funding, CCBF. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Andrew, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Mike. We're moving to Public Works, and the first item is the Oxford County Cross Boundary Water Service Agreement. And Jake, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Eggetts. This report before you tonight covers an agreement with the County of Oxford. They provide water service to 40 properties on the outskirts of Tavistock, with the majority being in Sebastopol, with the exception of 2. This current agreement had expired. It was being followed in principle, but we thought it important to have it formalized, and it's for a period of 5 years. And if there are any questions, I will try and answer.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Any questions of the report? No, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Public Works dated July 9, 2024, entitled Oxford County Cross Boundary Water Service Agreement, PUB-2024-15 for information, and further that Council give 3 readings to Bylaw 40-2024, being a bylaw to enter into a service agreement with the County of Oxford for the provision of water services from the Tavistock water system to select Perth East properties. Moved by Jerry, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and our other report is the 2024 Drinking Water Quality Management. Jake?
Thanks again, Mayor Eggetts. This report too is relating to water. Each year we have to do what's called a management review through the DWQMS. It is a legislative requirement there. We met as a group, albeit a small group, but including the CAO, and went over all things water. Attached in this is the meeting minutes. Also, the operational plan is attached. It has been recently updated, partly due to the organizational review and titles, and that has also been provided on our website, the updated version there. So if there are any questions, I will try and answer.
Okay, any questions of the report? Hugh?
Just one. It says on page 219, distribution FCR less than 0.5 milligram per liter CCP. I understand what CPP means, but what's FCR?
Through you, Mayor, that is free chlorine residual. So we have to maintain a certain residual of chlorine in the system, and that's the control point internally that we have established.
I just didn't notice it.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Public Works dated July 9, 2024, entitled 2024 Drinking Water Quality Management Standard, DWQMS Management Review, PUB-2024-16 for information, and further that Council receive the attached 2024 Management Review Meeting Minutes dated June 14, 2024 in the Township of Perth East Drinking Water System Operational Plan dated June 6, 2024 for information. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Jake. Okay, we have no reports from building. We're moving now to Parks, Recreation, and Community Services. And the first report is a concession operation request for proposal. Mike's going to do that tonight.
Thanks, Mayor Eggetts. Yeah, this one's pretty straightforward. Annually, an RFP is issued for interest as it relates to operating the concession of the park. We were fortunate to get a submission this year, unlike last year, and the report highlights the information related to the RFP and that submission, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks. Is there any questions of the report? Seeing none, we do have a motion that the Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Parks, Recreation, and Community Services dated July 9, 2024, entitled Concession Operations Request for Proposal RFP Results PRCS-2024-06 for information, and further that Council give 3 readings to Bylaw 41-2024, being a bylaw to authorize the signing of an agreement with Adele Matheson for the management and operation of concession services at the Perth East Recreation Complex, or the Perth. Moved by Jerry, seconded by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And the next one is on Greenwood Park Concept Plan. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor Eggetts. Yeah, before you, I think most importantly is kind of the concept. I'll maybe backtrack a little bit. We felt appropriate to kind of update the concept after the township was fortunate to get lands donated adjacent to the Greenwood Park area. So this is the revised concept. And speaking with Becky, we thought it appropriate to put it in front of council to make sure that from an overall concept standpoint that council was supportive. And it's not included in the report, and I kind of thought of this after the fact. I think it would be appropriate for perhaps staff to notify Mr. Beaucharts, who donated the lands, let him at least be involved in seeing the concept, as well as the Milton Public School. The parents have expressed interest too in the outcome, and I think it would be worthwhile to share the concept, assuming the council is supportive of what the direction is being put.
The parents and others that contacted us were looking for some sort of a racetrack or a running track to take the place of Cobalt Street that was being used in the past. I don't necessarily see that happening here with a 2-meter wide path. So is that being incorporated into the plan somehow here, or what's the deal with that?
So the assumption, and again, this is why we're here is that, yeah, that path surrounding would be suitable for, I believe it was track and field and just long distance running is what they're looking for. So that was the thinking, is that could serve that purpose, but if it is something different than that council is looking for and that the council's looking for, I think that's not currently what's there. If it's like a formal track, Councilor Matheson, like marked out 104 by 100 kind of things, that was not, we kind of thought it was more of the long distance running type activity.
And that could be what it is. Maybe we just need some clarification from them on it. My understanding of what is that they wouldn't be using Cobalt Street as a running track anymore, where they would line 8 kids up beside one another and they would do short distance runs there. Long distance runs were done in the existing gravel track that's there now, but my understanding was they were looking for something to be wider than the 2 meters. But if we could look into that, that would be great, just to see what their expectations are for size. If we have to widen it by another meter or 2, because that seems very narrow if that's what they're wanting.
Other questions, Jerry?
Yeah, I think this is a great start. Councillor Matson's, yeah. Share with them and maybe it can evolve. My question is, what about the Lions Club? Because I know they're working on a proposed pavilion as well. Not sure where that's at. Thanks.
Councillor Smith, I believe what is showing is just as the new picnic shelter is and again, this is very basic at this point, but I believe that's the area that we're looking at as it relates to that piece.
Other questions? Hugh?
Yeah, I think the intent is just, to keep council engaged, and also to keep the community engaged that, we do have, we're not just ignoring it. I think primarily some of our concerns are creating parking. If we're gonna go forward with the soccer pitch, which we've committed to with the school board, we need to address parking in that area. So we didn't want to just haphazardly throw parking up and then have it moved again. And Becky and all of Milverton are quite proactive as it relates to tree planting. So we're trying to avoid planting trees where structures and trails and paths are going to be, to avoid those conflicts. So we're trying to get it at least scoped out a little bit. But yeah, I would be shocked if, 10 years from now, this was exactly what existed at Greenwood Park. But it could happen that way, I guess.
Okay, any other questions, Bob?
Just because it's a concept, I'd say the driveway will need a little bit of attention too. It's rather narrow now, and you're gonna have multiple uses. You're gonna need a better driveway than perhaps what exists now. But the other point, I guess, was when the elementary school kids came, I felt that presentation was more suitable for the school board. But nonetheless, if there's a partnership there to create some sort of track around the soccer pitch, then that's fine too. But as everyone's aware, it's just an idea that's gonna transpire over many, many years. So it's good to see it now.
Okay, anyone else? I guess my question is, if we make it a track, who's going to maintain it and what it's going to cost to build that track? Because it's going to cost more to build that track than a walking path. And council didn't commit to anything. They made a presentation, but we didn't commit that it would automatically be there. So I think as time goes on, I guess there's some more information that needs to be looked into. Okay, anything else anyone has on that? If not, we have a motion that Council of the Township of Perth East receive the report prepared by the Manager of Public Works, or Manager of Parks, Recreation and Community Services dated July 9, 2024, entitled Greenwood Park Concept Plan, PRCS-2024-07 for information. Further, that council directs staff to continue to seek grant opportunities and other sources of funding to complete the revitalization of Greenwood Park in the next 5 years. You need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Bob, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks, Mike. Now we're moving to correspondence. We do have a letter from Kevin Brown, president of the Gads Hill Sportsman Club. The letter has been answered by planning staff already. I don't know if there's anything else you want to do with this or just receive it for information. Okay, so the Township of Perth East received the correspondence from Kevin Brown, President, Gads Hill Sportsman Club, received July 2nd, 2024, regarding natural environment designation of Gads Hill Sportsman Club for information. Mover and a seconder, moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Okay, I missed fire. We have no reports from fire. Now we're going down to council and committee reports. There's my meeting log where I was for the month of June. I don't know if there's any questions, what I did or where I was. If not, then do we have any reports from any of the committees anyone sits on? If not, then we receive the mayor's meeting log for information, moved by Amanda, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we're down to bylaws. First and second reading of bylaws, and we have 4 of them. The first one is bylaw 39/2024, bylaw for the municipal funding agreement with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario for the transfer of the Canada Community Building Fund 2024 to 2034, and that was item 8.4.1 tonight on our agenda. The second one is bylaw 40-2024, a bylaw with Oxford County for the provision of water services to specified properties in the Township of Perth East, and that was item 8.5.1. The third one, bylaw 41-2024, a bylaw for an agreement for the management and operation of concession services at the Perth East Recreation Complex, and that was item 8.7.1. And the fourth one is bylaw 203-2024, a bylaw to amend bylaw 30-1999, the South Part Lot 23 and South Part Lot 24, Consensus 5, Northeast Hope Ward 2324, line 40, and that was the Adams and Burton application. So we have a mover and a seconder, moved by Hugh, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. And third and final readings, we have 6 bylaws, and the first one is 39/2024, a bylaw for the municipal funding agreement with the Association of Municipalities of Ontario for the transfer of the Canada Community Building Fund, and the second one is bylaw 40/2024, a bylaw with Oxford County for the provisions of water services to specified province in the Township of Perth East properties, The third one, bylaw 41/2024, a bylaw for an agreement for the management and operation of concession services at the Perth East Recreation Complex. The fourth one, bylaw 102/2024, a bylaw to provide for drainage works known as a Jacob Municipal Drain 2024 Ellis Ward. Fifth one, bylaw 103/2024, a bylaw to provide for drainage works known as the Michael's Municipal Drain 2024 Ellis Ward. And the sixth one, bylaw 203/2024, a bylaw to amend bylaw 30/1999, that's the south part of lot 23, south part of lot 24, concession 5, Northeast Hope Ward 2324, line 40, and that was the Adams/Burton. So a mover and a seconder for these bylaws, third and final reading, moved by Bob, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, do we have any notice of motions? Any other business? Any announcements? Jerry?
One quick announcement over this past weekend, the U20 men's fast softball team participated in an elimination tournament in Cobourg, Ontario. There's a number of, it's called Rostock Simcoe Braves. There's a number of young men in Perth East that are on that team, 5 or 6, and they qualified for the Canadian Championship, which takes place in the middle of August in Carp, Ontario, which is up near Ottawa. So congratulations to that team, and we wish them good luck at the Canadians in August.
Wow, good luck, yeah, and congratulations. Okay, is there any other announcements? Jake?
If I might just add something quick, the reconstruction project, I've got some updates on. Surprisingly, they're pushing a week to the 22nd of July as a start date. They will, however, be conducting some test pits this Friday. Furthermore, there's going to be a notice going out. It was put together by BM Ross on my behalf. It's going to go to all the residents. That's to go out this week as well, and I'd be happy to share that with council if they wish.
Okay, thanks, Jake. Anything else? If not, then we do need a closed session, so we are going to regular meeting of Council of Township of Perth East be temporarily adjourned at 9:23 p.m. to permit the holding of a meeting in closed session for the purpose of a proposed or pending acquisition of or disposition of land by the municipality or local board pertaining to a township unmaintained road, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board pertaining to a township unmaintained road. So we need a motion to go in, moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, thanks everyone else. Enjoy your night and Okay. So the Council of the Township of Perth East rise from closed session and reconvene to regular council at 9:47 PM. Moved by Amanda, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. The next motion is that the closed meeting was held and only closed session items identified were discussed in closed session, and further that council approve the confidential direction to staff. Moved by Hugh, second by Andrew. All in favor? Carried. The Council Township of Perth East approved the closed minutes of the meeting held on June 4th, 2024 and June 18, 2024. Moved by Amanda, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried. Okay, so we have this motion that council amend resolution number 19-616, being council direct staff to make an arrangement for conveyances of portions of Church Alley, R.P.363 to certain adjacent properties as described in the planner's December 3rd, 2019 report and summarized as follows. Number one, a portion of Church Alley commencing between Pugh Street West and the southerly lot boundary of lands described as Lot 241, Plan 363, be conveyed to lands described as Lot 241, Plan 363, being all of PIN number 53067-0225 LT, known locally as 50 Main Street South. Number two, a portion of Church Alley having a length of approximately 16.113 meters lying immediately to the south of the southerly lot boundary of lands described as Lot 241, Plan 363, be conveyed to adjacent lands to the east described as part of Lot 240, Plan 363, further described as part 2 of the Plan 44R-4717, and number three, a portion of Church Alley having a length of approximately 16.113 meters lying immediately to the north of Gross Street be conveyed to the adjacent lands to the west described as part of Lot 243 and known locally as 6 Gross Street. And this, we're going to change it to this, that council direct staff to make arrangements for conveyances of portions of Church Alley, R.P.363 to certain adjacent properties as follows. And number one, that a portion of Church Alley commencing between Pugh Street West and the southerly lot boundary of lands described as Lot 241, Plan 363, be conveyed to lands described as Lot 241, Plan 363, being all of PIN number 53067-0225, locally known as 50 Main Street South, and number two, a portion of Church Alley having a length of 32.226, lying immediately to the north of Gross Street, be conveyed to adjacent lands to the west described as part of Lot 243, known locally as 6 Gross Street. Oops, sorry.
It just got missed, I think. It should have.
Okay, so Mike's saying it's 32.226 meters, lying immediately to the north. Okay? Moved by Jerry, second by Hugh. All in favor? Carried. Okay, and then we have a motion that bylaw 42-2024, being a bylaw to authorize the sales of part 1, 2, and 3 of Church Alley, R.P.363, be read a first, second, third, and final time. Moved by Amanda, second by Bob. All in favor? Carried. And we have that bylaw 43-2024, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council of the Township of Perth East at its regular meeting held on July 9, 2024. Be read a first, second, and third time. Moved by Hughes, second by Amanda. All in favor? Carried. Excuse me. And the last motion of the night is that the meeting be adjourned at 9:52 p.m. Moved by Amanda, second by Jerry. All in favor? Carried.